The market has absolutely boomed over the last few days, but now it's seen a bit of a retraction. And some of you who are maybe new or just got into the game might be a little bit worried that your investment is already gone after you've just got into this space. So today I'm going to tell you about market fluctuations, how you can actually take advantage of those, and how to be better prepared for the next one that comes. Let's get started. Come on everyone, my name's Andy and I appreciate you taking some time out your day to come and watch this video on the channel. Just before we get going, if you do enjoy the content and you want to support me, you can hit that subscribe button. And if you want to support me even further, you can join the membership down below. If you've been on Veve over the last couple of days, maybe the last week or so, you would have seen there was a massive run up over maybe the course of 3 or 4 days when it came to the collectibles. Some took 2, 3, 10x jumps from where they were sitting at previously, and we saw a massive run up in a lot of our vault valuations. So although a lot of us like to live in the world of euphoria and that everything is going to go up and never stop climbing, there has to be certain instances and certain things that happen to make it healthier and solidify floors for what they actually are. When things are running up massively, there often comes a point where it can't really run any further at that point anyway, and has to sort of correct itself in a healthy manner. The reason for the run-up can be for a variety of reasons. There's always a variety. They're never usually the exact same, but quite often a lot of things overlap. So this could potentially be because there's more of a delay on MTL. People had gems sitting there and therefore they thought, why not use my money to make it work for me, and hopefully I make the right calls and they can buy up. Could also have had whales that have come in and decided to buy a lot of the supply, which we've seen for a few certain things. Didn't happen for everything, but there were definitely some things where someone bought a lot of them in a very, very short space of time. It could have been a group or it could have just been one single whale with a lot of money. We also have been seeing a lot more people coming into this space, and I'm guessing that 20 to 30,000 new users is probably increasing by this point, and especially since a lot of people were tweeting about how their vault valuations were what they were at. I'm guessing once the money is there, people actually start to FOMO into that sort of stuff and really want to get in to make money where the money's actually being made. So I'm guessing that not only a lot of people are actually coming into this space, they're spending money in this space right away. And that could even run up the market further. And then again, the usual one, we've got FOMO. People always love to FOMO into things that are rising quickly. They think they're not going to get another chance at that, so they actually buy in, and then it keeps going up, and then they buy in again. And the cycle sort of happens, and that's why FOMO happens. Especially if a whale lowers the supply by say like 100 in the matter of 10 minutes. People are going to buy in because of that FOMO. Now, there are certain things that I've talked about when it comes to the likes of grails, where there's going to come a point where you're really not going to get the same retraction as some of the things that have not been out for as long. So like your Todd McFarlane Batmans, your Secret Rare Spider-Mans, there's going to come a point where their retraction really won't be the same as the others. You might actually be out that range at that certain point, but I'd prefer to you to watch that video because you would understand it more with what I'm going for. To back up the point of a lot more people coming in or a lot more gems being purchased, there's someone in the Veve community called Puddin Cheeks, and they do data on the sort of burns, the gem purchases, reserve only, and all that sort of stuff. And over the course of the 17th and the 18th of January, we saw that there were 3.6 million and 3.8 million gems purchased, with the average actually going up because there was still time in that day when the 3.8 was actually put in. So there was still time in the day for this to happen. This is a significant jump from what we'd had maybe at the start. We can see from the 8th of January, we had 0.3 million, 1.5 million on the 11th, and it really started to ramp up on the 13th of January. That's when things started to pump up, and that is actually when the market really started to rise heavily. And now we're seeing a little bit of a retraction after that period of time. So there was a length of time where the market really was booming, and this just goes to show how many more people are maybe coming into this space or are willing to put money into it. This could also be in some form of correlation that OME, the token itself that is related to Veve, is migrating to the Ethereum chain around about the 25th, if I'm not mistaken, or around about that area anyway. That's what they've said. There's going to be a migration from the Go chain to the Ethereum chain, which now allows OME to get listed on the likes of Coinbase, Binance, and all the other top companies in the world that sell and trade cryptocurrency. This again is going to boost and solidify what Veve are as a company, and especially once we get to the stage where you're potentially going to be able to buy NFTs with OME, buy them on Immutable X. There's just a lot more coming that's proven Veve as potentially going to be one of the number ones, and why I see maybe a lot of people getting in now rather than 6 months ago when others were telling them to do so. Another reason why I believe there's these inevitable run-ups is when there's often a short period of time where no massive drop happens. Over the course of the last couple of months of the year, we saw Marvel being announced with Spider-Man, the first ever Marvel NFT being put on the space. We had Disney announced and the first ever Disney in the space. Then we had 12 Days of Veve where we had Deadpool, Coca-Cola and Mickey Mouse all in that space of time. And the start of this year, we've not really had anything mind-blowing. And it's not to say that they haven't been great. You know, Invisible Woman's fantastic. We've got some amazing comics, but they're not been the same level as maybe what some of those have been at. So people right now, when they have time to think, they are looking at what is going to hold more value over the long run and what they should buy. Whereas when we have a lot of drops coming out quite consistently, especially the top player ones, people are selling off right away. They're trying to get gems for other stuff. They're really volatile. So now people are understanding maybe what could be worth more in their future, what could be potentially life-changing, and therefore buying into those. I suspect once we see another massive drop, there's going to be quite a big sell-off in order to actually get this and have liquidity for that, and then people are going to move into there. As a whole, when it comes to the market, sometimes sharp rises aren't organic and therefore are not healthy for the market. What you kind of want to see is just a steady increase in the price as the listings go down, so you've got quite a good balance when it comes to that. However, when you've got someone with a lot of money, or there's a group who are buying a certain individual collectible or a group of collectibles at the one time, the price can absolutely rocket as the listings rocket down. And although it still works in the same manner, it's not a healthy rise and more so manipulated. And because Veve right now is still quite cheap in regards to what NFTs cost, you can control quite a lot of the supply for not actually that much money compared to what the money that some of these people have. This means prices can be manipulated quite quickly, and we saw that with a few of the collectibles that run up the way they had and have shot quickly back down to basically near enough the price that we were at prior. This is actually quite healthy for the market. What this generally does is, although it takes a lot of listings off, price sort of steadies out before starting to rise organically again. Now, this does happen over time, and it's important to pay attention to. When things are really rising quickly, you've got to understand maybe why they're happening and pay attention to it. You can sometimes buy at the all-time high and be left holding the bag for quite a while. So if you need liquidity quickly, you might have to take a loss in that format. Just understand when things happen, like quick run-ups, this is where it's important to look at the market, see where the listings have gone, and actually pay attention to the number of listings that are there. Often they go down quite quickly, but sometimes they really shoot down in a very short space of time. And usually that's when you can see there might either be some form of massive news that have happened with this certain collectible, or there could be some form of manipulation or group buying them very quickly in a very short space of time. In relation to grails, for instance, this is going to be a little bit different as they cost a lot more. So being able to control that supply in a different way often happens with a lot of different people. More individuals are buying into these because they are more expensive. So something like Todd McFarlane Batman couldn't be bought en masse just as the same way something like a Mare McConnell or a Deadpool could. This means when those do run up, it's often people who have probably spent quite a while getting up to that stage of gems to be able to purchase them and are going to hold them for a long time. This is where I was talking about sometimes you could be out of the average consumer's price budget quite quickly, especially for the ones when people realize that these are what's going to put them at the top of the top when it comes to a Veve collector. And this takes us to today and where we're at right now. And there's retractions happening, but the market has bounced back a little bit. Now, retractions are very healthy and we actually need to have them in order for the market to remain steady. So retractions happen after the period of FOMO or buzz has sort of died down a little bit. People have been taking profits on the things that have quickly been rising in their market. We often see a sharp increase in the total listings because people are taking profits at certain points. And when people are lowering the price, other people see that, they then lower their price. And it starts to happen where a sort of base price is finally leveled off as people undercut themselves. Retractions are completely normal and actually really healthy for the market in general. And this is a place in a time where you really don't want to panic, because this is when you can lose out in the most gems. If you do panic, commit to the FOMO, don't have a plan, and then sell off all of your collectibles for a loss. There will be times where they will have their light, but at the end of the day, when you're buying at an all-time high, you have to understand the risks that go on when you're actually playing a part in that. Some whales are also very smart. They have a lot of money for a reason. Some are maybe lucky with their investments that they've done. Others actually done a lot of research in order to get to where they're at. What you have to understand for the smarter individuals who are knowing exactly what they're doing, when they sweep the floor of something and they buy, say, 100 of the collectibles, what would be the point of buying 200 when the price is only going to continue to rise up? Would it not be smarter for them to wait on the market retracting a little bit, have people fearing that they're not going to make as much profit and then undercut each other, wait for the price to go back close to what it was before, and then sweep the floor again? That makes the most sense. That's how they're going to make the most profit. So some of the smarter people in this space who are mass buying at that sort of level are going to make a lot more profit, not by buying instantly all of them, but waiting for a retraction and then buying them again. So this can also happen, and it's something to pay attention to, and why I always think it's important to take a look at the list listings, especially for things that you're keeping an eye on in the Veve market. This also means that when retractions happen, we often have higher highs than we did before. I talked about this again in the market understanding video, where I discussed things like Superman and Todd McFarlane Batman have consistently went up over the last 2 or 3 months and have not reached certain points that they had previously once they took a run up. This means that over time these things become more valuable and people are less likely to let them go. And because the average cost of one significantly rises, the level of investment that someone has to take in order to actually get one in their vault is quite a lot. Therefore, they're not really willing to sell at certain points and don't really get scared about booms or retractions because they're willing to hold for longer periods of time. This again may mean that some of the grails might not jump ship the way some others will, and it's something to definitely pay attention to when you're in this market. What we saw on around about the January the 13th was that some things started to really boom. This is where you've got to really pay attention to what you're buying into and why, because then you'll understand where maybe a high could be or potential selling point will be. When you do that, you're going to be able to understand maybe buying in at a time where something's 4 and 5x isn't the right time for you, and maybe to wait a little bit longer for some retraction to happen. As the boom continues to occur, there's some things that maybe don't get that same light. And after a while, when people are not paying attention to the things at 5 and 6x, they're looking for the next 5 and 6x. This is where things like the Coca-Cola happened, especially over this week, where at the start it was more so like the Disney stuff, the Marvel stuff was rising, and then people realized, hey, the Coca-Cola stuff hasn't went up that much. They boomed up, especially because someone bought a lot off the market, supply went down drastically, people bought into that. Now what we're seeing was a healthy retraction down in the market again, where people were undercutting each other. We were getting a new floor price, which was often higher than what it was sitting at previously to the first boom. And now what we're seeing is a market bounce back. What market bounce backs usually mean is that people are now seeing that the floors are low enough that they're willing to buy in again because they believe they're a good deal. People are also buying in again because this is what they were waiting on. They knew retraction was going to happen because this is how the market often moves, and therefore are buying back into what they wanted previously, but maybe were a little bit out their range when the original boom happened. So now that the market has bounced back, more people are buying in, listings are going down, and we're starting to get back to the sort of healthy increase in prices for certain things that have been out for a certain period of time. Listings are going down and it's working organically. It wouldn't surprise me in the next few weeks that we might see a massive run up, especially if we don't have any massive announcement when it comes to drops. But if we do see a big announcement for drops, then there could be quite a big sell off because people are wanting the gems in order to buy these things in the drops, potentially get lucky in the drop or buy it in the secondary market, which is most of us. So one of the things that have been happening right now is a lot of people have been speculating that Pokemon is going to be released at the end of February as they're celebrating, I think, their 50th anniversary or something along those lines. The issue with this is we've had nothing in regards to Pokemon just yet, and I truly do believe that we have them and that we will announce them over the next coming years, but as of right now we just don't seem ready for something like that. There's a lot to be done, a lot's happening over the next coming months that I would rather see Veve and Ecomi focus on before actually doing that. Now, I didn't suspect Disney when they were coming, it's so early on, so who knows what could really happen. However, don't just sell because of speculation. It's okay to do it in some instances, but you really need to know what you're doing. If you're someone who's new into this space and you're just selling off everything you possibly can when the market took a retraction just because you think Pokemon may happen next month, then you could miss out on a lot of profits if you aren't convicted in your plan. Now, by all means, sell off anything you want if you think this is going to be coming next month, and if you think everything is going to dip 60% in the next month. That is totally fine. It's up to you and it's your decision and your investment at the end of the day. But if you do that and it doesn't go your way, you could miss out on some of the things that you sold that previous month and are no longer going to be able to afford moving forward. Now, it's not to say that this can't happen. Sometimes heavy risks actually pay off. But if you are going to sell, what I would recommend doing is maybe selling some of your duplicates, some of the things that you don't care about as much at a price point that you're okay with, and then have some gems in reserve just in case this actually does happen. And if it does, then it means you can just hold your grails all the way through that period of time and allow them to move forward in the future, whilst also having the opportunity to buy into the market if a massive drop is to happen, like Pokemon. I know I covered quite a lot today, but I know there's a lot of you who are new to Veve and wanting to understand the market a little bit more. Price fluctuations are completely normal, and retractions like this are also completely normal and actually really healthy for the market. But I'd love for you to let me know about what your thoughts are on this. Are you going to be buying in, or are you holding off on your gems right now? I'd love for you to let me know down below. I know the video on the screen will be something you'll love to watch. Have a fantastic day.